Hi, my name is Shuyu. I attend a signature seminar offered by Syracuse University called Sustainability on Child, Environmental Justice in Northern Europe. In this seminar, I traveled with my teacher and classmates to 3 cities in different Scandinavian countries, which are Stockholm in Sweden, Inari in Finland, and Flum in Norway. We learn and examine issues about sustainability and environmental justice in these places, which are the most advanced in solving environmental issues in the world. I will show many perspectives to explain and to solve air pollution issues, especially from a role of air policymaker. So, what is sustainability and environmental justice? Sustainability can be considered in 3 aspects: society, environment, and economy, and each of them leads to one of the 3 pillars: people, planet, and profit. But evaluating a movement whether it be sustainable, it is not enough to only think about its environmental impact on our planet Earth, but rather should consider people's feeling and well-being, and the profit people and countries can gain. Believe it or not, policymakers will pay more attention to profit and people, since they cannot simply cut all of the sources of air pollution, such as flights. We will feel unhappy if no flight is provided due to its large amount of carbon emissions, and our trip to Northern Europe will not happen in that case, which is not sustainability wants to do. Environmental justice calls attention to 3 things: distribution, participation, and recognition. Taking air as an example, distribution requires both fresh air and polluted air be allocated evenly to everyone. Participation focuses on who has the power in air policy-making process, which are usually government and big companies. Recognition draws people's attention to marginalized groups, which are usually ignored by publics and agencies, such as minorities and non-human animals, whose environment is polluted by others. In this case of this trip, Sami people, who are the only indigenous minority in Europe, and the local animals in Scandinavia are the ones who should be considered by the countries and the world. Let's get into the case of air specifically. The main issue of air in the world is our intensive amount of carbon emission and a series of following negative consequences. In the past 2019, 43 billion tons of carbon dioxide was emitted to the atmosphere globally, which was the highest in the history. Consequently, carbon dioxide leads to climate change, and 2019 is the second hottest year in the last 200 years. The temperature becomes higher in the winter as we observe in Scandinavia. Traditional skiing place in Stockholm was not frozen this year, so that we had to cancel our plan in skiing, and the National Reservation Park where we hiked was out of snow, which was very unusual for local people. The animals in the Arctic area in Finland are also victims of climate change. For example, introduced in Sami Museum, smaller Arctic foxes are losing the battle in a warmer winter when they had to compete with the coming red fox that usually live in the warmer region in the south. In a word, the carbon emission is a global critical issue that needs to be solved in emergency. Tracing the source of carbon emission, transportation takes an important role in air pollution. In 2017, 27% of carbon emission in European Union came from the transport sector, including road traffic, flights, shipping and train, etc. This can be contributed by our travel demand, such as tourism and business, and freight transportation. Sometimes it's easy to ignore the carbon footprint that is left by our daily decision. For example, if you are not a vegan, the carbon dioxide impact per capita of your biking can be higher than 3 people share a Prius car, since raising domestic animals is a bigger source of pollution than agriculture. However, the example can be not true in Arctic area, where it's almost impossible to grow vegetables locally in winter, so that the transportation of vegetable generates much more carbon into the air than having reindeer meat. Unlike regular livestock breeding, reindeers in Lapland live by themselves in the nature, even though they are owned by Sami people, which is very sustainable for its natural lifestyle. Therefore, look before you leap. Your action can have different environmental impact on air by transportation. So, what are some possible solutions in transport sector so that we can save our planet while making people happy and profitable? Here, Northern European countries give us some great examples how they respond to the issue of carbon emission. Sweden is one of the countries whose greenhouse gas emission from transport successfully decreased in the past 30 years, and the government of its capital, Stockholm, plans to build a fossil fuel-free city by 2040. Due to the high population density in the center of the city government has constructed many public transportation to reduce the use of private car, including bus, metro, and ferry. Buses in the city are already biogas-driven, and the ferries are gradually changing to electric. The sharing economy is also introduced to the city by sharing electric cars, bicycles, and scooters that you can find everywhere in the city and can be borrowed easily. Try scooters in Stockholm, it's fun! While encouraging people and companies use and invest in public and sharing transport with clean energy or renewable fuel by funding and other methods. Restrictive policies such as congestion tax are also made to levy on most cars entering and exiting central Stockholm. These policies make people willing to travel sustainably and allow companies to make money while saving the air on Earth. Another solution is to promote ecotourism to replace traditional tourism that causes tons of carbon emission. Traditionally, people travel by buses or vehicles as groups, look at things by just sitting on the buses and leave one spot after one another. It's true that this kind of tour can bring people to see as many places as they can in a single day, but it loses the chance for people to get closer to the environment in a longer time and produce much more carbon than the travel way of staying in one place for a few days. Flam is one of the places in Europe that receives millions of visitors every year, but very few of them stay overnight. The ecotourism asks people to choose sustainable activities such as hiking, snowshoes, and swimming in a natural environment to enjoy the fresh air and natural things. Local people in Flam and surrounding area plan to operate more sustainable activities to attract visitors to stay longer. Playing with domestic animals can also be one kind of ecotourism, as our interaction with reindeers and huskies in Inari, Finland. But be careful to treat animals nicely as friends, since we human beings are also one kind of animal. Don't hurt them as they are just food or tool. Nowadays, more and more young people choose ecotourism in their vacation as one of the eco-tour guides set in Stockholm, and hopefully this concept of lifestyle can be accepted by large groups of people. Registration by policymaking can contribute to achieve this goal, since it can limit the way how travel agencies organize their trips and encourage ecotourism by offering benefits to the agencies. However, there are still issues remaining that haven't been solved yet. Flights are big sources of carbon emission, which take 13.19% of EU transport greenhouse gas emissions, and the number will increase in the future, since the emission in other sectors is decreasing while the one of flights remaining. Right now, there is no solution to reduce the carbon emission in aviation sector due to the limitation in technology. Think about that. We choose an eco-tour in Scandinavia will release tons of carbon by taking airplanes to the country, which quite not makes sense in terms of sustainability. What we can do is trying to reduce the use of flights if unnecessary, and take alternatives such as buses and train instead. policymakers can propose some encouraging policies for companies to invest the technology in the sector so that hopefully in the future we can realize the use of clean energy in our sustainable flights. Carbon emission is a big issue for sustainability and environmental justice. To solve this, despite the effort of government in policy making, it requires all of us to be aware of the details and decisions in our daily life which can save the environment and ourselves.